Hey guys, Coach Sean here, and welcome to another episode of the Coach Sean Fitness Podcast. In today's episode, it is the first full week of January, so we're talking all about New Year's resolutions. So maybe you have your New Year's resolutions set and you're trying to get more workouts and stuff in. You're finding it difficult because gyms are closed. How to get workouts, gyms are closed, you got to work from home. So stick to the end of the podcast. I've got a couple of things on that specifically, but what I'm going to talk about is 3 reasons why New Year's resolutions fail, 2 things you can do about that, and then we're going to get to what I just talked about there at the very end of this show. So there's a quote I came across when I was thinking about writing a newsletter that I based this one on. And if you want to get the Coach Sean newsletters, follow the link in the description so you get these straight sent to your inbox. So this one I sent last Friday. The quote that started off was, "The past is like using your rear view mirror in the car. It's good to glance back. It's good to glance back and see how far you've come. But if you stare too long, you will probably miss what's right in front of you." And the reason I put that quote in, it's good to glance back to see how far you've come, not dwell on different missed opportunities and New Year's resolutions and worry about you get things done. But at the same time, it's to see what your 2020 goals were and how they line up with your 2021 goals. Are they too unrealistic? Are they too far-fetched? Like on the Any Given Training Day podcast, talked something similar about this, where I mentioned one of my goals for in 2020 was a 5k PB, and at the time I was a lot unrealistic and saying, geez, I'd love to get 20-minute 5k. And a couple of weeks into that training, I realised that just wasn't on the cards this year or in 2021, maybe 2022 and beyond. But it was able to set myself up for what a goal could be for a 10k PB as well as a marathon PB based off different running goals I set. So have a look, and if it's unrealistic back then, it's probably a little bit far-fetched to do it now. So people are like, I want to lose, X amount of weight last year, and then this year comes around and they have the exact same goal. It's like, why didn't it work last year? Have a look at last year, why didn't it work, and go from there. And with that said, I'm going to talk about one of the first 3 things. That wasn't even the first mistake that I see people notice, so that's a bonus one shown in there for free for you guys. The first one is that people try to do too much at once. In January, people want to overhaul their diets, dry January. I talked about in a previous episode of the podcast, my members, that this is veganary. So, people try to go vegan during this month, and it's World Carnivore month, so people try to ditch the vegetables and eat all meat this month. And while they're doing that, they're also trying to improve their health, they're trying to improve their fitness, they're trying to do, work 5 days a week or get up in the morning for 6 a.m.s. And, it's Thursday, January 7th as I record this. I look outside the window and it's snowing out there. The roads are ice, so if you had plans to get up 6 a.m., go for a run, that's already not ticked off today. It's not the smartest idea going out running than that. You might slip, land on the back of your head. Next thing you know, you're not running for the next couple of weeks. So that's it. It's unrealistic to set all these different goals and stuff in the 1 month. But that's what people do. Is like, I want to accomplish this, and I have January to do it, instead of just spacing it out over the entire year. Just pick one goal now, work on that. There's 52 weeks in a year. You don't have to accomplish everything in January. It's probably best you don't accomplish everything in January, because if you did, you weren't really setting those goals high to begin with. So pick different goals throughout the year and focus on one at a time. For example, once again, going back to the Any Given Training Day podcast, I talk about how my goal is to do a 340 marathon this year, and I've picked Dublin to do it in. So I've got October to do that goal in. At the end of October, hopefully we're running again in Dublin City, 20,000 people, and so many people watching, the crowd atmosphere and all the rest. It's my main running goal, my main fitness goal this year is to get back out there and doing that. So I'm going to work backwards from that goal. So I'll have that goal at the end of October. For like 12-16 weeks before that, it's going to be all marathon training. In the middle of the summer, I'd like to get a bit more events and stuff in. So meeting up with friends and stuff that we hadn't get a chance to do last summer. So different duathlons, hopefully start cycling, a bit of running, cycling, all the rest there, if everything goes well with COVID. But at the same time, if it doesn't, my running, that's when we are basically just a lot of running, setting different goals. Then around May, June, I don't have to do my 10k PB. There's no point in trying to aim for a PB now, because the roads out there are just they're icy like hell. You're more concerned about slipping and falling over. I'm not saying you shouldn't run at all in January, but to go out for different runs, aiming for PBs and the roads that bad, and you don't know it's going to be snowing, you don't know it's going to be black ice, if the roads are below zero often overnight, I wouldn't recommend getting up early in the morning and go for personal best runs, let alone runs at all at some stage. So that's just something that I wouldn't do. So I could do it in April, May, and then I could work back from May for 8 weeks and build a 10k plan around that. So my goal now is home workouts because there's nowhere else to go. Doing my training around there, building up my mobility, my strength, and for the next 8-12 weeks, and then if gym's open, build the strength a little bit more there, and then just lead into my 10k PB plan. So doing a little bit of runs here and there when it's safe to do so. So sound overcautious the way I say that, but it's true. I'm only going to be running once, twice a week, and then after that, then just build up my foundation and go from there. So the second one I kind of touched on already is that the goals are only realistic. You want to do your 6 a.m. runs, and let's take the weather out of the equation. You want to do 6 a.m. runs or workouts even indoors, and you're not a morning person. So like, it's just you're changing so many routines right there and then. Maybe you train 2-3 days a week before, but it was all evening sessions. All of a sudden you want to disrupt everything in the early mornings. That has to come first and foremost. And then you want to do your vegan documentary. You watch on Netflix and I want to follow that. And you're setting so many different things to do at once that don't sit well with you and your lifestyle. You have to look at yourself and say, okay, maybe I'm 9 to 5 person. I could be able to work early. I could maybe do workouts early in the morning 3 days a week. Or maybe you're in work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then you're like, oh, but I heard the best time to do a workout was first thing in the morning. But then your first thing in the morning, instead of coming for a 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. session for a lot of people if they work at 9, if you're in work at 8 o'clock, your session mightn't be till like 5 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning. And all of a sudden, you've got different jobs and responsibilities in the evenings to do as well. It just comes unrealistic to do a session at 4 o'clock in the morning. You think, oh, I need that because, Mark Wahlberg or something on YouTube does a 4 a.m. session, so I got to do that. It's like, different situations for different people. So you got to set realistic goals that fit with you and your lifestyle. Make small changes. Just pick one thing to work on for January and February. One main thing you want to work on. Pick that, stick with that. And if you build that habit, like I've talked about before, James Clear's Atomic Habits, he said it takes anywhere from 3 to 8 weeks. The research says 3 to 8 weeks to build a habit. So use January and February to build that one habit you really want to work on 2021. And once you've done that, then it's on to the next one. Once that's built, once that's established, once that's routine, then build on to the next one and then spread it out as you go through the year. The last one is no accountability. So there is some mornings like you might feel like, especially in January when it's cold out there, you don't want to get up, you don't want to go to work. A lot of us are working from home. I know it's a little bit easier to fall out of the bed into work, but think back when you had the long commutes and stuff and you don't want to get up and you hit the snooze a couple of times, you leave to the last minute, and eventually you get up and get in. And then there's times where you want to get up early in the morning for something for yourself. Maybe it is a workout or a run, and you hit a snooze button one time too many and it's a little bit too late to get the workout in, and you end up going to work without getting it done. The difference between the two is one of them had accountability. One of them, if you didn't go into work, you effed up and you have to answer to someone for not going into work. Whereas if you don't go in and focus on yourself and your own workouts, even though they should be equal priority, but for a lot of us they aren't, and you just decide you don't sleep it in, you don't go in that day. What's the big deal? You're only doing something to yourself. It doesn't really affect anyone else. When you say it out loud, it should feel like it bothers you. And we've all done it. We've all went, I want to do this, but nah, snooze. The little demons in our head when it's first thing in the morning win. You're like, oh Sean, you're too tired to do this. And like, I slept 9 hours. I know you're not feeling. You're too tired. You're going to be late if you do this. You're going to feel like crap. You're not going to be able to get all the workout in. What's the point? Even though a 20-minute workout would have gave me more energy, would have been a lot better than doing nothing at all. I end up not doing it. So because you don't have that accountability for yourself to do it, it makes you less motivated to do workouts, and that's a slippery slope. You miss 1, you miss 2, you miss 3, and keep going from there. So you need to find that accountability, whether that's hiring a coach. Quick plug for a 6-week challenge that I'm doing at the moment. You can also find that in the description, where we're doing personal training and setting coaching around you and your lifestyle and your goals. So if you're listening to me so far going, Sean, how do I organize all this? get a coach to do it for you, basically. So, and they'll organize it based on you and your goals and program it out. But if it's not me, find a friend, family member, sign up to something together. Maybe there's an accountability group or something where it's like, these are the programs, these are the workouts, or a very good established gym do their program. And they'll keep, their coaches will keep you accountable as well. Find something that keeps you accountable to get your goals in. I can work with you to help define your goals and have that step-by-step blueprint process to get them done, rather than pretty much winging it and not getting up some days, getting them done the other way. Because the key thing to any program, no matter how good or bad it is consistency. If you are working on a bad program, even consistently, as long as it's not a program that's going to get you injured, you will eventually get there. Where if you've got the best program in the world and you haven't got the consistency to do it 3-4 times a week or whatever the program requires you to do, then it's absolutely no use to you. So when you're setting all these goals and stuff, my number one thing with all these goals and setting routines and everything else is that you need to have fun with it. You need to enjoy the journey. You need to enjoy the process doing it. Because if you there are some mornings, no matter how much you love to work out, you're like, oh my god, I have to get up and do this, and you're gonna feel better afterwards. But just getting up to do it is absolute torture. But if you don't enjoy the overall process of doing it, like I struggle doing marathons. I struggle during the tail end of it getting those longer runs in. But when I look back in the journeys, I always love them. No matter the ones I got injured and didn't do well in, the ones I hit PBs and was absolutely elated about, even though I didn't think I would, and the setbacks journey, you put it all together, it just makes all that much fun. It was too easy, it wouldn't be that much of a challenge. I wouldn't get that much of a kick out of it. But the more challenging it is, and then to succeed at the end for your own personal goals, is fantastic. And sometimes you will succeed, sometimes you will fail, but don't let failure get in the way. Just go for it. Whatever happens, and it's a lot better to go for it and fail. You're a lot more further down the road than you are if you didn't try at all. So they are 3 things that I find: that no accountability, setting too unrealistic goals, and trying to do too much at once. They are the 3 reasons I find, as long as the one I said at the very start, that New Year's resolutions fail. So two ways that I find that you need to really work on to help your New Year's resolution succeed is, one of them is change your routine. So we're all given different cues that lead to poor habits. So if you come home and let's say you've got the proverbial cookie jar on the counter and easy access to food that's going to lead you down a slippery slope. And that's not to say never have cookies or never have biscuits or never have crisps or anything like that. But we know we have 1 pack, we'll have 2, we'll have 3, and there's all the extra calories in there on top of what we normally eat that's going to help prevent us from getting to our fat loss goals. But if we make it harder to get those things, they're down the back of the fridge, they're not in eyesight when we come home from work or come in from the other room in the office, in this case with lockdown, stuff like that. You need to recognize those cues and change the routine. So if you always go in and grab a biscuit or something at a certain time or in between a break or whatever it is, you need to go in and grab something else and be wise to it. Like, okay, I'm going in, usually grab this, I'm going to grab this. And at first you're like, oh, that's not the same thing. But over time, that will just become the new routine. You have to nail it down. That's what I talked about earlier, the 3 to 8 weeks, nailing down that new routine. So like with every cue, there's a routine. With every routine, there's a reward. So my good one always is, I find it hard to get out going for a run. I use a massage gun to start that routine to get me ready to go out for a run, because some days just feel like crap to go out there, to be totally honest. I know I feel better when it's done, but I just feel like, do I have to? Even though I know it's good for me, it's great for me. We all have those things. No matter how good a workout is, the next time sometimes like don't want to do it. But I get the massage gun out just to loosen up my muscles a little bit. I'm not saying massage guns are absolutely necessary, to be totally honest. I only use it for 2-3 minutes, and it could be completely placebo, but I don't care because it works for me. I know once the massage gun goes on, I go through a routine of the glute bridges, the dead bugs, the planks, the spiral lunges, squats, split squats, single leg deadlifts, setting my music downstairs, sticking on the My Zone belt, and next thing I know, I'm out the door and I'm running. That's the main thing. That cue of using that massage gun first got me out there. And then just making everything easily accessible. I know where my running gear is, I know where my runners are, and just having it all laid out so that it's just a step-by-step process. I'm not even thinking as I'm going through the routine. and the reward is getting out there, getting it done. So have a think about your bad cues are that lead to have a think about what you want to improve, and then whatever the bad thing is that you want to replace, just think what always has me reaching towards that. Like what has me, let's say you go home from work and you just can't find the will to get back out and go to the gym. What's the one thing you do? For most of us, it's sitting down on the couch. We know once we sit down on the couch, we're screwed. We're done for the night. We're sitting there. That's it. Netflix goes on. And you might say, I might sit on the couch only for 10, 20 minutes. I might watch one episode of The Office or one episode of Friends or something. Next thing you know, it's 2 episodes, 3 episodes, 4 episodes, and you're not going out that night. You can't leave it at one. You just can't. You just have to do none at all. It's like, it's a routine. It's a habit. It's just like smoking or even going to the... Who goes to the pub? Who goes to the pub at all anymore? But who did go to the pub just for one beer? It always, even if you say I'm definitely only on for one, 99 times out of 100 leads to 2, 3, and 4, and that's just the cue, the routine of having that 1 leads to 2, leads to 3. It's the same with smoking. It's the same with watching more episodes on Netflix. Unless that icon comes up, says, "Are you still there?" Would you probably hit yes, and you still continue to watch. You have to completely erase that and set that new routine in, that good routine you want, and then from there you'll be more successful in your goals for 2021. The last thing is to be I almost messed up that word, is to be specific in your, not Pacific, specific in your fat loss goals. So let's say you want to lose 7 pounds this year, or 1 stone or 2 stone, whatever it is. Whatever it is, let's just use fat loss as an example, because a lot of us want to do that for the New Year's, myself included. How are you going to do it? When are you going to do it by? Write it down. Physically write it down. Half the battle is done once you write it down. And then go with that. Work backwards from the end goal right back in. Maybe there's an event this year that hopefully goes ahead that you want to work towards. Maybe there's a holiday this year. Who knows? You might be in warmer weather in Ireland before the end of the year. Work back from that goal and how you're going to get there. And the further away it is, that just means the easier it's going to be, isn't it? The less you have to reduce calories each week to slowly get towards that. So let's say you're working for something in August and you're starting now. You don't have to lose the 2-3 stone, whatever it is you want to lose right now. You can slowly lose that, and you'll probably more likely maintain it if you did it slower over 3, 4, 5 months than you did trying to do it in 1 or 2 months, going back to try to do everything in January in one go. So when I'm talking about nutrition as well, I know I touched on the other day, forget all the noise. Take out all the noise of the Netflix documentaries, vegan, carnivore month and all the rest, and saying this the best way, this the best way. The best way is what's sustainable to you. Consistency, like I talk about, is key there. So the best way, whatever sticks with you, whatever you can relate to, and then you can make little changes to go out. I keep going from there. I have no issue with people going vegan and stuff like that, but I think just doing it all in the one go, especially if you ate meat for 25, 30, 40 years of your life, and all of a sudden that's just wiped out completely, is going to be really hard. Maybe you had 1 day a week where you're a vegan, or 2 days a week you're a vegan. That's not saying vegan's the best diet to have to be healthy. And you will get people that have done the vegan diet and they're like, that's been the best thing in the world for me, so it's the best thing in the world for you, which isn't always the case. But it could be, if you feel like what you're doing right now needs drastic changing, that could be an answer. But then again, paleo-based could be an answer. But then carnivore could be... Carnivore doesn't sit right with me because it lacks of fruit and veg, but it does for a lot of people and it works for a lot of people. The point is, you have to find, when you hear different things, what works for you. As long as it's real food. Don't do stupid cleanses for 2-3 weeks with no food at all. Don't do it. Not good for you at all. You're gonna have like 600 calories from like little shakes, and that's it for a day. Of course you're going to lose weight. You're going to lose fucking everything. That's not good at all. With the exception of different foods, and as well as that, be smart about it. Like, for example, I know I keep harping on vegan, but that's the one that's getting bigger and bigger. Just do your homework, do your research on it. You might need vitamin B12 because you haven't got meat and it's hard to get the protein in. So just do your research on it, depending on what you're eating, because there are vegans out there that are incredibly unhealthy because their choices are limiting the food they eat, and they just have, just whatever they want, as long as it's in that vegan category, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they are healthy. So do your research on what you want to do, build in the routines nice and slowly, make small changes to your routines to develop new habits over time while being specific on the goals you are setting, and remember to base it out over the entire year. Now, if you are listening to this podcast when it came out, which would be on a Thursday afternoon, you probably got an hour or two before I'm running an as live follow along YouTube session tonight. That link will also be in the description. And if you're listening this Friday, Saturday, like, damn it, Sean, I missed it, well then definitely sign up to my newsletter so you won't miss out on future sessions. I'm going to be trying to put out future sessions on my Facebook and my YouTube, particularly the YouTube, over the next couple of weeks for workouts on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. Word of warning, some of them will be more specific to my bootcamp. Just because they have resistance bands, kettlebells, and I want to work with them specifically so they achieve their goals. So what we do is we have the Coach Sean app, and they're working using kettlebells and stuff. And they're different, like the first 3 months is different squat goals and different strength wise. And then the workouts on a Tuesday and Thursday complement what we do on Zoom on a Monday and Wednesday evening. Now, at the moment, those sessions are closed. They're only for people who have been with me before. Just because I send out resistance bands, kettlebells, and because there's a tight-knit group there where everyone knows everyone on Zoom. And to be honest, I don't really want to disrupt that with newer people, and I don't feel it's fair on a new person coming in and not knowing what's going on. Hopefully February, March, when we open back up again, that I'll be able to bring on new people. But if that is something we want more accountability, check out the 6-week personal training challenge where we work with myself to set your goals, and you'll have something similar with all the equipment that you have or may not have at home. We will work with that to set a program and set goals like that for the next 6, 8, 12 weeks and so on and so forth. I am working with any given training day on that. So for the first 6 weeks, we specifically myself, but if you've got goals for running, swimming, cycling, you'll get the chance and the opportunity to work with other coaches as we get closer to the summer, as more things start opening up, especially if you've got duathlon, triathlon goals and all the rest in there. That's pretty much it for me, guys. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the podcast, or watching it if you're watching on YouTube. I got really nothing more else to add except check out the links in the description. And that's pretty much it from Coach Sean. Take care.
Now that wasn't a hard video to get through now, was it? I hope you guys got some value out of the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the Coach Sean channel, which is somewhere here. And hit that button, subscribe to the Coach Sean channel, leave a thumbs up. There should be a couple of other videos around here for you guys to check out. And that's all from me, from Coach Sean. Take care.